I'm Tom Scott, co-founder of Construction Carbon.
And I'm Gilbert King, co-founder of Construction Carbon.
We were established to make net zero development accessible to anyone undertaking a construction project. Frustrations, and we were born out of frustrations that understanding carbon impact of construction projects was simply not accessible to the vast majority of the construction industry.
And also from my perspective, it was an issue of consistency. So large developers, how are they comparing apples with apples in terms of their projects that are in the construction phase?
We know that there's a lot of talk going on about embodied carbon at the moment, and that's principally coming from the major developers. But actually, over 99% of construction is undertaken by SMEs, and these are people who don't have access to expensive sustainability tools, in-house sustainability teams, or expensive external sustainability consultants. And these are guys who are responsible for over 70% of all construction. From a value perspective, the decarbonisation of construction and the built environment is an unbelievably enormous opportunity. Decarbonising, retrofitting UK housing, it's estimated that could cost up to 160 billion. Retrofitting public buildings alone could cost northwards of 30 billion. And that's just retrofitting two small building construction sectors.
And from my perspective, from the personal perspective, I just want to be able to look at my 7-year-old daughter in the eye and tell her that I did everything I could.
We needed three things, really. We needed to know how to communicate things, we needed to know who we were going to be targeting for marketing, and we needed to know how we could communicate our expansion.
That's right. And I think from our perspective, the figuring out what we say to the right people was really key, wasn't it? So what the languages that we use to those clients, to those partners, to investors.
Which basically becomes a sort of single source of truth, and it's fantastic because we can now provide that to investors when they say, but have you considered X, Y, Z? We can say, yeah, here we are, not only have we considered that, but it's been backed up by the report, third-party research that's been undertaken by Cameco. It's provided us with exactly what we needed.
And also, it was really useful for us to go through developing packages. So rather than having this sort of nebulous suite of services that we could do, we basically divided up into 4 different packages, and they're targeted at different audiences. And that was very useful from our perspective, and also from pricing proposals. Again, it's come back to saving time and just streamlining the process of onboarding clients. So it's a bit like a HIIT class, where it's really intense and you get really tired after a couple of hours because you really have to use your mind.
But my background is as an engineer, so I like process and I like structure, and I like to be able to understand what we're achieving, understand what the deliverables are. Canon Company process is super useful because it means that we can, we would go into this workshop sort of a couple of hours a day over the course of a couple of weeks, and you get prepared for it. You know it's going to be hard work, but you also know that at the end of it, you will achieve something tangible. And yeah, you're going to be sort of tired, but everything slots into place, and you know why you've done it. You know what you're building towards. So structurally, it's fantastic. Formulaic, which I like. This is what we need to achieve. This is what you need to fill in. This is why. Get it done. Fine.
The marketing strategy deck was really well put together. Good graphics, good language, really, really high quality output. It gave us a playbook essentially for things that we could pull out and use in investor presentations and client presentations, and pull out the language that we wanted to use for communicating with different audiences. Also, it had some really good research there on what targets what parts of the market we should be targeting. So from our perspective, it was a really high quality piece of work.
As a startup, whatever people say, you are invariably trying to punch above your weight. Presenting to yourself, to investors and to VCs and whoever it might be, in such a way that they look at you and go, right, okay, you might be small, but actually look at the quality of your output. And that was a reassuring thing from the GTMS. It's self-explanatory, it goes well. If you're issuing anything as a startup, you want to be sure that the people you are issuing that to is going to add to your credibility, and I certainly think the quality of this does that.
Can & Co is very professional. So one thing that first comes across when you meet Jan and Can & Co is they are masters at their trade.
I find it unusual to find external consultants who you actually look forward to engaging with, because traditionally you've got a consultant, you're on the clock, what are the fees going to be here, but actually engaging with Jan and his team at Can & Co, you're actually looking forward to the next session, and the process is enjoyable. We're sort of treated like a sports team, really. Like, okay, here you're doing. It's like a coach. We're being coached to how we do things, but in the same way that where you've got a coach and you know that your interests are aligned and they want to get the best out of you because they want to see you succeed. Then that's really, that was really the feeling I got. Like, this isn't just being dictated to by someone who is telling you what to do. It was a collaborative feeling, and it was a case of feeling that they're very much part of our team.